I'm back again. Welcome to episode 7 of the Don't Stifle Me podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Stiefel, a writer of songs, a singer of songs, a player of guitars, and a few other instruments. But for now, I'm here as a podcaster and a friend. And friends, let me tell you, these first few episodes are sponsored by me. If you like what we've got going on here, if you're enjoying the talks, please let me know. But also keep in mind, I do have CDs available on iTunes and Amazon and everywhere. And there's merchandise and tour dates at jacobstiefel.com. And so if you're digging this, please go buy some music, buy some merch, or come out to a show, tell your friends, whatever. Just help keep the train rolling in the right direction. But in the meantime, here's episode 7.
Pick it up the piano.
Yeah, like I said, I do love a good conversation, and I had one of those today with a fella named CJ Solar. Now, come to find out, CJ and I have quite a bit in common, which was cool, and you'll hear more about that if you keep listening. He is a singer-songwriter here in Nashville, originally from Louisiana, and he has had songs cut by Jerrod, Niemann, and Justin Moore. He's got his own EP out that's on iTunes and other outlets, and he's working on some new music while staying busy on the road, just hustling the game like the rest of us. But we talk about all that. You'll hear right now. I'll let the talk speak for itself. Here's CJ and me hanging out here in the office. So you've been doing the radio tour thing. How's that going?
Yeah, man. So I've been driving around and visiting these stations, and I'm kind of trying to be strategic, where there's areas that have big pockets of them, and ones that I've got some people that are doing the bulk of the promotional stuff for me, and they try to send me to places that I think are more likely to play me in general. But it's been pretty good. I mean, they're not sending me places that they know aren't going to play me, so that's kind of nice. So it's been cool, man. I never really realized that the different, these secondary markets that are, usually outside of big towns, they're just...
So are they playing?
Yeah, I mean, I've got like over 100 stations that are...
That's
that
awesome.
are playing the song, and the music row chart is one of the secondary charts, and I'm like 30-ish on that chart right now, and like
I will admit my ignorance when it comes to a lot of that stuff,
dude.
The whole radio game and charts and stuff.
It's confusing. I never really knew anything about it until trying to get a song. I'm just with what I've got going on, I'm just trying to just keep the ball rolling and keep, I had with this first EP had a little bit of success with like some Spotify stuff and having a song put in a playlist and all that stuff, but and it turned into some a lot of streams and even some sales, and helped us get into some different markets that we'd never been into, but it just wasn't everything. It's not like I just instantly, so it was like, man, it was really cool and it helped out a ton, but hopefully I can keep doing that while, starting another fire over here with the radio promotional stuff. And
it's like, one thing works somewhat that gets you to the next thing, and then that kind of works.
Yeah. So, it's been fun, and, it's funny because, there's so much dead time, you hang out at a radio station for like 30 minutes.
So how does that work? They like the people, your label, or do you have the deal?
The publishing company that I'm with has put out the music, and they're it's technically
so they contact the radio stations. And set
no, they don't. We've hired people that they don't have a radio promotion department, so we've hired some people that know what they're doing with that, and they're kind of independent promoters.
So they contact
these radio stations, and and they're the ones calling all these stations, asking them to play the song, because I never realized this, but if you don't have somebody who calls the stations, oftentimes that they know, usually from a major label, but these people, the people that I've got, they're independent promoters, but they sometimes promote major label, new acts and stuff too. So if they don't have somebody like that they know calling them, they're not gonna play. They're not gonna play your song. It was kind of crazy. They're like, they were telling me about.
I've got a buddy that works. He used to work at Sony, and he was with somebody else now. But that was his job. Like he just sat and called. Like that was kind of like the entry level.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, we got. But it's funny. I was talking to one of the DJs out there. She was like, yeah, there was a major label act, and I was thinking about adding their song, and I talked to their promoter, and they're like, hold off on, like don't play that. If you're gonna play it, play one of our bigger artists. If you're gonna play something, play one of our bigger artists first. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is kind of crazy that and that's why I went with, at least for now, they have some bigger companies that promote major label artists and independents. And I was like, well, man, if that person's calling the station, to probably they're going to tell them to add the bigger artist before they add you. So I've got some people that I would like to think that I'm one of their main priorities, which is pretty cool. So had a lot of stations that have and some of them are in some bigger towns, and a lot of them are in some really small towns, but it's really cool. And that's what a lot of people say. One of the best ways to sell records and build actual fans is get on some of those smaller towns, because those are the people that still buy records. A lot of them,
right? Yeah.
A lot of a lot of big city people. They've got Spotify, and they kind of just half of them. Most of them don't even listen to the radio. So it's cool to go to places where people still do.
Well, yeah, people tune in and hear new stuff.
Well, and they know the personalities, and they have like a lot of them. A lot of these small town stations. These guys are like famous, because everybody listens and they get the weather. They do all kinds of stuff. So it's
for sure. I know that's how it is in Alabama, where I'm from. Like everybody knows 105.1 and the people that are on it, and I can't remember because I haven't lived there in 10 years. But well, we kind of jumped the gun on that. CJ Solar is here. Where you from, man?
I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Baton Rouge?
Yeah.
Does it bother you when people say that? Do people say that?
It's funny. Sometimes I say Baton Rouge whenever I'm telling people where I'm from. But, it's...
I think my grandpa used to always say that, now that I think about it. So anytime
there's some old people
Baton
there
Rouge,
that still say it like that. They're just being funny. But, yeah, it's a cool town. I enjoyed growing up there and played a lot of music down there before I moved here right out of high school. But in high school, I played a whole lot of music.
So you were there your whole life?
My whole life growing up, I lived there. And then I moved to Nashville right out of high school, which was kind of crazy. And that was about 7 years ago.
Very cool. So when did you start playing music?
I started playing guitar when I was about 8 years old.
Nice.
Yeah, my dad had a little like Japanese Les Paul knockoff in his closet, and he had played when he was in high school and kind of had quit, but broke it out once, and I just kind of like clinged onto it. I was like, give me that. Oh, yeah. And man, and it was just hard. I just kind of, that's all I really wanted to do was play guitar. And my little brothers, whenever I got into that, they wanted to play something, so they both started playing drums, and then eventually one started playing bass, and we kind of had a little
brother
trio. And
how many brothers you got?
Two, and they're twins, so they're 2 years younger than me, and we.
So you got to beat up both of them growing up.
Yeah, pretty well. One of them was a little smaller and kind of always had I would say, little man syndrome growing up, and was the one who was always trying to beat up everybody else. But yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, they played bass and drums, and we had a little band. It was the lamest name of all time. It was the Solar Heat.
The Solar Heat, nice.
Pretty lame sauce, but yeah. So we'd play at like Mexican restaurants, coffee shops, and all that kind of stuff. And then I started playing with. I started taking guitar lessons from a guy, Stan Campbell, back in Baton Rouge, and I started playing with him. He was an older guy. He was kind of like the main guitar player, and I started playing acoustic, shows with him, and had guys when I got into high school. I put a couple, had a bunch of bands in high school, and decided that I want to do country music. I grew up playing a lot of like Southern rock and classic rock and all that kind of stuff. That was really, and I kind of got into country music in say middle school. My parents were kind of getting into it too, and we went and to the Grand Ole Opry.
So did you grow up listening to mostly country or rock and roll?
No, I really didn't listen to much country music at all. Well, when I was younger, You know, it was like Leonard Skinner and just all that kind of stuff, and the Eagles, and that's what my dad liked, and that's the kind of stuff that Bob Seger, all that kind of stuff was kind of what I really,
the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's all the good stuff, and my grandparents like that, and they liked. My grandma really liked Willie Nelson and Waylon, that kind of stuff. She always liked. She liked Elvis.
Very cool, man. I was reading your bio earlier, and it's shocking to me on your website. It said some terrible things. No, I'm just kidding. It pretty much said the stuff you said so far, and it's weird how similar our upbringings were, because, like you said, like everybody you just named right there was pretty much all of my influences. I know that's true with a lot of people, but like growing up, my grandmother was. I could listen to Elvis for the first time at her house. And my mom was a big Willie Nelson fan, and I listened to that with her. But Dad was a big rock and roll, classic rock fan. Yep. And so I grew up listening to his records and 8-tracks, which was all those people that you just mentioned, your secret, everything. And so it's pretty cool. No wonder we're like birds of the same feather here. Yeah, and I also started playing guitar at 9. I tried piano from 7 and 8, but then jumped to guitar at 9 because Mom had one in the corner that never got played.
Funny,
dude. Yeah,
it's so similar. Yeah.
So you graduated high school. You played in bands and stuff through high school.
Yeah, I played in bands and stuff, and played mostly rock stuff with my friends in high school, and we try to get them to play country stuff with me, but most people didn't really like that kind of stuff. And Baton Rouge, I feel like wasn't really you would think of it as really country, but really there was I don't remember people playing country music when you would go see cover bands. Nobody ever played country music. It was all classic rock. So I mean that's kind of stuff that I played. But like my parents took us on a trip to the Grand Ole Opry, and I remember it was Dierks Bentley, Brad Paisley, and Blake Shelton all played in the same night. And I remember watching.
That was probably around like all their
they were just really getting into it. I mean, that was 10, 12 years ago. Yeah, and I was just like, that's what I want to do. Well, because it was hard with like, I was thinking, I was like, what new music is there that is like the stuff that's old that I'm listening to with my dad? I was like, there's really no, there's kind of new. There was new rock, and you had stuff like the Foo Fighters or whatever that was still
quote
making
unquote
records.
rock and roll.
But there wasn't a whole lot of that kind of stuff that I grew up on. So country music was kind of the closest thing to putting out new music that was like, and Karina's Clearwater Revival, a lot of that stuff. And the lyrics were country, and like honestly, most of that stuff. So it's like,
if Skinner would come out right now. Oh, they'd be country.
Exactly. They would be country. So,
like Blackberry Smoke. If Blackberry Smoke would have come out in 1970, they'd be rock and roll. And they are rock and roll now.
Yeah,
but,
they are. But
they're all, the closest
they're considered
they come
kind of
would
country.
be.
Yeah, exactly. Which is so.
They're from Georgia. They're country.
Yeah. Well, and the guy, he's got a southern voice, and it was just fun.
Genres are stupid.
Yeah, it is really goofy trying to put music into categories, and there's so many different categories now. I mean, country music isn't country music at all anymore. It's like, there is no, it's like they really need to have like 10 like different radio stations to play. Every subgenre, because there's nothing that's like, everybody's got really just taken pieces of everything else, and it's like, the stuff that we do comes from that more classic rock, kind of southern rock stuff, and then you have people like Sam Hunt that are using their Drake influence,
right? Yeah.
It's like,
and some people dig that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, but totally.
It's like crazy that's in the same ball field.
And really, the only thing that keeps that's that a lot of that pop country stuff. Country is sometimes the voice, but really the lyrical content just having the most minor amount of country lyric, like his
maybe
new song "Body Like a Back Road."
Yeah,
everything about that song is not country at all, other than the word "back road."
Right,
literally, that's the only thing keeping that song country. But it's country, people people love it, and obviously he sells a ton of record. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have Chris Stapleton, who's like completely not like that.
And they're supposed to be considered the same,
and they're in the same genre. Yeah, it's not even remotely similar. So it's kind of a weird spot. And radio is so funny. They want to put you in a box so fast when you visit these stations, and especially when I wear a hat and have a beard and long hair. They're like, "Oh, you're like Chris Stapleton." I'm like, Well, yeah, I mean, I sing.
And the fact that I have hair.
Yeah, I have hair and a beard, and I sing with like a small amount of emotion. Right. It's like, singing with some amount of emotion.
Oh, he looks like he feels it. He must be like Chris Stapleton.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, really my music is really not like anything like Chris's music, but other than that, and his music doesn't even really rock. It does rock, but it's not like, it's very traditional. Like, there's no distortion on his guitar.
It's very
his
unique.
voice has a rock thing, and obviously it's incredible. But it's not like, the stuff that I'm doing, I feel like has a very obvious rock and roll.
Yeah,
influence.
rock and roll band thing.
And his is like has a very
three-piece, breathy, very airy.
Yeah, exactly, very airy. And he's playing a jazz master with no distortion. And I'm playing a 335 with all the distortion.
Of it. Yeah.
But it's just funny, and I feel like if I was clean cut and doing poppy stuff, people would walk in and be like, "Oh, so Sam Hunt a big influence of yours?"
Right,
It's like whoever's popular. It's like, well, I mean, I did love Chris Stapleton when I found out about it when I moved to town, but I would say like people like Jeffrey Steele. That was he was the dude that where I was still in high school and learning about country music songwriters. Jeffrey was the guy that I was like, dude, that's it. This is the stuff. That's whenever I was in middle school and I saw Dirks and Brad and Blake, I went, that's what I want to do. And when I was in high school and I was thinking about moving up here and I started getting into songwriters and I saw Jeffrey, I went, never mind, that's what I want to do. And I still love obviously Dirks and Brad and what those guys are doing, but Jeffrey Steele really was the quintessential, like, grew up on rock and roll, still country, wrote country songs influenced by rock.
Yeah. Did you ever watch CMT? There used to be a channel called CMT Pure.
Well, yeah, they
had the 3:30 sessions. It was a show. It was on like 30 minutes a day at a certain time every day for a little while. It was called 3:30 sessions, and it was acoustic, and they would bring in the songwriters that wrote the songs.
No.
So I was in college at the time, so it was like 06, 07, somewhere in there. And they would bring in like Jeffrey Steele and all these people, and they would do, like, he would do his Rascal Flat songs or whatever that I, didn't like when I heard Rascal Flatts doing them. But then you get Jeffrey Steele with just him and his guitar singing his balls off. And it's
you're
like,
just like, oh my God.
I like that song.
Yeah, it's like the songs are amazing.
Yeah.
They're like songs that were like, some of them are even like the cheesy songs where you're like, God, that was so cheesy. And then you hear him do it and you're like, that is freaking cool as shit, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of where, I came from. And
so when you moved up here, like by that time, writing was is that kind of like what you're?
Yeah, I mean, I moved up here and went to Belmont. So that was like what,
What'd you study there?
Music business and songwriting. I kind of like, my major was technically songwriting, minor in music business, which I was going to just do music business, and my grades weren't like super great in high school, and they were like, well, it sounded, whenever I like went and met with somebody, they're like, well, it sounds like you want to be a songwriter. And I was like, well, yeah, that's what I want to do. And they're like, well, we have this new songwriting department, and it's in a music business school. Like, you take a lot of the business classes, but you don't have to take like accounting and stuff. So you don't actually get a business degree, but you take a lot of the same classes. And I was like, well, I don't care what degree I get. I just want to get up to Nashville. And, my parents told me I got to go to college.
There's two sides to that sword. It's like, I hear some people criticize getting a quote unquote, songwriter's degree or getting a degree from Belmont, but it's more like the connections that I'm sure.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's 100% all about the connections.
Yeah.
The knowledge is, while, it's what you take from it. You can learn everything they're teaching you on the internet or just from literally living life.
Or experience, right.
Or listening to good music. It was, it was kind of crazy. I had a lot of buddies that...
Listen to a Jason Isbell album and you learn everything you need to know about songwriting.
Well, I made a lot of friends, but, I would have songwriting classes with like... there would be like 12 people in the songwriting class, and I had like one of my buddies that was in there wrote country music, and then everybody else just wrote like crazy off the wall stuff that like didn't make sense at all. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like it was just like really weird, and I was like, what are you doing in a commercial songwriting class? And I'm not like, I would say Jason Isbell writes commercial songs. I'm saying like songs that make somewhat of sense, but these were just like
rhyme and
these
make
were
some
like
kind of sense,
like monkey pooping on a page in the hand and throwing it at a page. I was just like, what are some of these people
like
doing?
Avant-garde poetry.
Yeah, avant-garde poetry and like turn it into songs. And I was like, what are these people doing? Like,
what kind of drugs are these people taking? I might like to try some.
But it was like, and there were some people that obviously weren't doing it. There was a girl that was great, Kelsey Walden. I don't know if you know her. Mm-mm. She's Americana. I think she's got a lot of cool stuff going on in the Americana world. I had some songwriting classes with her, and she had some great, and there were people with great stuff, but I just remember some of the people that were like, you know, I was like, what are you doing getting a songwriting degree and not even trying to, like, you know, we were taking classes from like Tom Douglas and stuff, you know. I mean, he's like wrote The House That Built Me and like all kinds of stuff, and it's like, this dude, you know, is trying to help you write, you know, songs that can like make sense, you know,
and touch people.
And touch people, and it's cool to have like a lot of emotion in your songs, but you know, I remember Tom said something that he goes, the music is what catches the people and brings them in, and the lyrics what keeps them there. And I was like, that's really cool.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's like you can. I mean, I remember stuff that I listened to in high school, like that I would go back and listen to, and I was like, man, those things were so cool, and they had all the right emotions. But listening to them now, I'm like, the lyrics are just so lame. I don't even want to listen to this stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's so funny when you go back and listen to words that you never thought about.
But that's why the stuff like Skinner and Creedence and Steve Miller Band and a lot of that stuff still holds up because the lyrics are cool and usually they make sense. I mean, there's some Steve Miller
Band
always,
stuff
but
sometimes,
doesn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's you know what they're going after, you know, and it's like a lot of the new stuff. You're like, what are these guys even singing about? But or some of the rock stuff I was into in high school. But
sometimes we just sound like old men. These new kids, it's not music. Yeah, no, you should go back and look at some of the Aerosmith lyrics. That's really interesting to do.
Aerosmith, I love Aerosmith.
I do too, very much so.
And they do have some
like
songs
look
that
at the
don't make
words,
sense.
like walk this way, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh man, so did the Belmont thing lead to Seagale? Was that your first?
Yeah, so my last semester, I needed to intern because I had maxed out on all. I needed 3 more music business credits, and I had maxed out on the classes that I could take that were music business classes without prerequisites that I hadn't already taken. So I hadn't taken accounting, and there were some classes that you had to take accounting to take. So I was like, I have nothing left other than to intern. Right. So I hit up one of my neighbors who I knew, like I never really asked him about music business stuff, but I knew he was in the music business. And I was like, hey, dude, I need an internship. Do you know anybody looking for an intern? And he goes, well, I just left Universal Publishing for this company called Seagale. I could probably hook you up with either. What do you want? And I had read Brad's book. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, for sure, hook me up at Seagale. So he kind of hooked it up, and literally like my second week there.
Brad who?
Brad Paisley is one of the owners of Seagale.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Brad and Chris Dubar are the 2 owners, and I started interning, and really they really don't make their interns do very much at all. You just kind of hang out and like occasionally print some CDs and stuff. It's super easy and fun.
And make connections.
And make connections. And well, you know, and obviously this doesn't happen a lot, but I was there, and I just demoed some songs that like right before Christmas, and this was the spring internship. So I had like 5 brand new demos I had just done in like November.
Nice.
Got back.
Good timing.
Good timing. So I had these like 5 demos and like 2 other random songs that like I'd written with some people that had been demoed. And the guy, the VP of creative, like came up and he's like, hey man, you know, we just kind of do this for all our interns. You know, if you write songs, we'll take a listen and, you know, tell you what we think about them if you want us. Cool. And I was like, hell yeah, dude. So like the next week, he was like, hey man, that offer still stands. And I was like, I've got a CD right here.
I just so happen to have a CD.
So he's like, well, why don't you come into my office? He goes, I don't have too long because I got a meeting, but you know, I got like 10 minutes or so. We can listen to a song or 2. So I walked in and I had those 7 songs, and he played the first one. He was like, that's pretty good. And like he ended up pushing his meeting back, listening to the whole CD, and he goes, man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty, you know, I think this stuff's pretty good. You mind if I show some of the other people around here? And I was just like, yeah, dude, for sure. And that was on a Tuesday, and then I came back. I interned on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So on Thursday, I came back, and a few of the songwriters came in and were like, hey man, Mike showed me your CD. It's pretty cool, man. I was like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And then on Friday, kind of a few more guys came and said hey, and they called me like Monday night, and they were like, or afternoon, they're like, hey, can you come in early on Tuesday? We want to talk to you about something. I was like, yeah, sure. And they were like, hey, we want to sign you. And I was just like, I was like, you're kidding, I'm being punked right now. And they were like, no, dude, like we were wanting to sign somebody kind of, we were thinking about signing, a hand, 2 or 3 people this year, and you kind of fit the mold of one of the people we're looking for, and we really dig these songs. And
so when was that?
And your voice and stuff.
How long ago was that?
That was like February 2014, so that was a little over 3 years ago.
Cool.
So I've been writing there ever since, and they've been really great, and hooked me up with all kinds of cool people to write with, and I got lucky with having that song. I actually wrote the song right the week before I signed my deal. That Blue Bandana song that Jerrod Niemann recorded and released as a single, which was really cool. It went to like 31 on the Billboard Aircheck charts. But it was really cool.
That's more than I've had. So.
Well, it was an interesting experience, kind of seeing how that all worked, and Jerrod
so how long
also writes.
So you had written that song before you signed with him.
Yeah, and it didn't get recorded till literally like exactly a year later.
Yeah,
and I didn't do the demo till like 7-8 months after I wrote it while I was there, because it was it's a song about like music festivals, and no one was like crazy about it, and I was like, man, there's something cool about the song, so I started playing it at my shows.
Yeah, it's an awesome
and
song.
The first show that everybody came from the office to really see me at full band, I closed the show with that song, and they were like, what is that song? And I was like, dude, it's just this random song I wrote. Like,
so do they set up like studio time and pay for studio time to record demos?
They do pay for they pay for all the demo costs. They let me set up whatever I really want. There's like
cool.
a range of like a kind of a cap at how much you can spend
can't
per
go
song.
Crazy,
and whoever you write it with, they split the cost with you. So, and technically, half of it gets put on you, and they pay for half, which you don't actually pay it. They pay for it, but it goes to your like
towards your
recoupment
draw
amount. Recoupment amount. So they eat half of it, and you're supposed to eat half of it out of future earnings.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, the max is like $800 or $900 a song, which is a pretty good amount for demos.
Yeah, you can pay musicians to come in and
I usually can get my stuff more around like in the 600 range. I've just kind of got it dialed in, and I've got a little home set up where I do my vocals at my house and kind of that kind of stuff. But
relax and take your time on doing them.
Exactly. And my drummer engineers at a studio, so I'll have him come over to my house and track them for me, and buy him dinner or whatever, So I found a way, which I spent a bunch of money buying that mic and Pro Tools and all that stuff, and a decent preamp and all that stuff. But I figured it would be worth it to have in the long run, and it's nice to be able to kind of do it on my own pace and not have to, even though he works at a studio where I could go use even nicer stuff, but yeah, man. So they demo those, and it's kind of weird now with there's a lot of track people that whether they're just track guys or they are songwriters who are actually there's a couple that are actually really good songwriters who know how to just happen to build demos and are really good musicians, but that's few and far in between. Usually it's some guy who like is mediocre at GarageBand or Logic and can like
That's
barely
me.
plays.
That's on my resume.
Well, they
mediocre
barely
at
play
GarageBand.
guitar, barely write, but they're track guys. So
I heard
while
somebody
you're in the wrong,
talking the other day about a writing session, and they said there's like 3 or 4 people in the session, and then one guy, his only job is to, while the others are writing the song, to create the track and everything on the computer. And I was like, that sounds crazy. Like, to where by the time they got done with the words, he was done building the track. I was like, how do they even know what they were? That sounds backwards.
and some of them, help with the song a while, and some of them are like, will have things pre-done. Like the only other major label cut I've had was this thing on Justin Moore's new record. Called Between You and Me, and it's like the poppiest thing I've ever written. And it was just funny that Justin Moore had an interview where he said it was the most rock thing he had ever recorded, and to me it was the most pop thing I'd ever written. But I was riding out to write with a track guy, and he was really talented. Like was in like he moved here from he's originally from Latvia. His name's Pavel, and he played in like the DC orchestra or some stuff. So he's super classically trained cellist and super, just a great musician overall. But so we came in, and this was one of the first times I think I'd written with him and another buddy Smith, who's having a lot of success right now. And we walked in, and he literally just like he's like, well, I've got a couple things, and he like hit play, and like this music was already done. And he was like, you want to write over that? And we were just like, Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds cool. So, I mean, the music was really, and you
I
know,
mean, it's
sometimes-
possible. Yeah, it all works.
It you know, it's all
different
totally,
ways,
and we
yeah.
just happened to have Smith had a title. Like when we were driving out there, he was like, "Dude, this is the only idea I have is this one title," and
Yeah.
it just happened to be like that title worked with that music, and we wrote it as good as we could, and got lucky. And Justin Moore was wanting to record poppy sounding stuff
There you
for
go.
this record,
Yeah.
and you know, and it kind of just happened. And
So that's out? That one's
yeah,
out
it's
too?
it's called Between You and Me. It's track number 8 on his record that came out in like September.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
So that's
so
most recent.
Yeah, so
thing.
that's pretty recent. But you know, it's funny is he recorded it over a year before it even came out.
So wait, yeah. It's
but you know,
crazy how
but
that
he
works.
actually he used the track from our demo. Like literally, the only thing they changed was his voice, and they put real drums on it.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
That's
all,
on the album.
yeah,
is your
on
demo?
his album is the demo that Pavel had made. Now, whenever the thing that he played us in the room when we walked in
Yeah.
was pretty much it. I mean, it had a lot of the orchestra sounding stuff on it.
Yeah.
And then he hired Kenny Greenberg to play electric on the demo for us.
Okay.
And then that was it. And they just upgraded Kenny's part to master scale for the Justin version and added real drums. And they might have added real bass. I can't really tell.
Yeah.
But the only thing
But
that
it's
sounds
pretty
different
close to
between
that.
my demo and his is his voice and real drums. But and a lot of backgrounds. I didn't have very many backgrounds. But still,
That's still cool,
very
yeah.
very similar. So it's kind of cool, and it really is a kudos to Pavel for having a really cool sounding track. But yeah, that was it's just interesting how
That's crazy, man.
the
That's one of my favorite things
Complete
about-
opposite of just like sitting there with a guitar and thinking, you know, I guess you can write cool songs out of anything.
Yeah, that's what I've loved about doing this so far. This podcast is hearing the different paths and the different ways that everything works. And like I already knew that, but hearing proof
Now
of
for,
how
now
different
for my
everything
own
works.
artist stuff, I've never wanted to do any of the songs that I've done like that.
Yeah.
Like, they always feel a little bit more pop manufactured. kind of stuff.
So the whole time you've been writing for Seagale, have you been doing your solo thing the whole time, or is that more of a recent thing?
I spent like a year and a half not like just straight up focusing on writing,
Yeah.
and then after having that Blue Bandana thing, I talked to Seagale about cutting a few songs at more than demo scale, limited
Yeah.
pressing, and maybe putting them out, or just kind of seeing what happened. I felt like we felt like I had a little bit of buzz around town, and
Yeah.
it was worth putting some music out. So we went in, and my buddy, who was my roommate, and he just moved, he just bought his own place, Brent Anderson, who he produced Chris Jansen's Buy Me a Boat.
Oh, okay.
And he wrote Lonely Tonight for Blake Shelton. And
So he's done okay.
He has a ton of cuts. Yeah, he has a ton of cuts. An incredibly talented guitar player, writer, singer, everything.
Yeah.
Just one of those talented guys. So he ended up being my roommate, and we were hanging out. We were both he's not too far from where I'm from, and so he produced it. So he played electric. He played acoustic. I played electric, and then we had another 3 or 4 guys play. Put a band together.
Yeah.
And just spent a whole day in the studio doing 5 songs in one day, and I thought it came out pretty cool.
Is that the
That's
EP?
Yeah, that's that EP.
Oh, yeah.
Hard One to Turn
Cool.
Down that came
Yeah.
out. So that's what we did with that, and you kind of just knocked out all the music in one day and did the vocals.
Right on. Yeah, it sounds
2
great.
weeks later, and
yeah.
so we're actually about to go in and do that again, and maybe try to shop.
And what was the name of it for the people out there listening?
The EP is called Hard One to Turn Down.
Hard One to Turn Down.
And,
there you go. Go check it out
That's
on
the title-
iTunes.
Yeah, the title
or
track.
wherever.
Yeah, wherever. But yeah, so we did that, and then kind of just started trying to tour and get stuff going, which is
I'll tell you what. I tell
Incredibly
everybody
hard.
this. I have a civil engineering degree that's hanging on the wall right there, and booking shows is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like,
dude, it is
like having to contact people and book, like starting yourself. I don't know. I think you're with William Morris now.
Yeah, I am
Did you
now.
Start out.
I didn't
with them,
start
or-
out with them. I was doing a lot of stuff my own, especially
Yeah.
while I was at Belmont. I did play a ton of just dive bars around
Yeah.
the Southeast, and had a band. And whenever I signed, I'd spent about my senior year kind of slowing down
Yeah.
the playing and trying to focus more on writing, or at least
Right.
the back half. And then whenever I signed, pretty much all my band had like quit or moved home, other than my drummer, and he started playing for another guy and he would still play for me, but was playing for another guy too to kind of and doing studio stuff. So whenever I was like, all right, I'm ready to like start playing again, it was kind of just perfect that the other guy was kind of slowing down. The guy that he was playing with kind of started slowing down. I started picking back up, but yeah, I still honestly book a decent bit of my own shows. I mean, William Morris helps out a ton, and it's great to like you have them, and really one of the best things is like for other people that are on their roster to like, not that they do this, but look at where some of those people are playing and ask William Morrison, like, hey, do they need an opener? Like, that's one of the best things. For sure. Because it's hard to headline, you know, other than where I'm from. It's really hard to headline. So, and those opening slots, you know, nobody wants to pay an opener or anything.
But that's where you get in front of people.
And that's where it's all worth it. Yeah. So it's really great. And, you know, I'll occasionally have some festivals and some other things that pay better. You know, kind of weigh out losing money on those on those opening shows, because and I tour as just a 3-piece, so you know, just electric bass and drums. So I only got to pay 2 guys, but you know, between paying them gas and hotel and it adds up. But man, you know, it's fun, and so you know, I stay on. You know, they now have it where you have a couple guys that help book you. You don't have one person, but I try to stay on them. But you know, they all book like huge people other than me, so I'm making them a minimal amount of money where they they have people that
they get like 15-20% of
they take 10%, which really, you know,
that's good.
It's not terrible, but exactly 10% of $500 is $50. You know, and you know, occasionally have a $2,000 or $3,000 show, but at the same time, it's still $200 or $300. Where you know, if they're the guys that one of them, let's say he's booking Granger Smith, and Granger Smith is making like $15,000 a night and playing 200 dates a year. He's making $1,500 times, let's say even 150 is still a ton of money. Compared, he probably made like $2,000 from me last year.
The whole year, right?
So but I really appreciate all the stuff that they help me out with, because it does help a ton, and it's really great to have them to not be aggressive, but make sure that
if nothing else, their connections that they can call and be like, hey, this is Timmy over at William Morris. My buddy, my guy CJ here needs a gig. Okay, send him on over.
Exactly. It does help a ton, and it's definitely worth the 10% for sure, because there's a lot of gigs that we would never be able to get on without them. So
funny story. Cool. I met CJ here for the first time. I was out Lyft driving. I don't even know if you remember this or not. I was Uber or Lyft driving. I don't remember which one. But I picked up you and your guys from somebody's house, and you were going to play the Exit In. You were opening for, who was it?
The Lax.
I don't remember.
That's the only time I've opened for anybody.
Yeah, because you had gone to the gig, and then you forgot your set list at the house or some shit. I don't even remember. And so y'all were in a hurry because you played in like 45 minutes, and I was like having to get you over there.
Dude, I completely forgot that's how we...
Yeah, it was right after, because Chance was still working with Jerrod Niemann. So it was right after the Blue Bandana had just been recorded, or sometime around.
God, that is so... Dude, I completely forgot. I thought we met at like a Tin Roof Revival or something. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no.
Whatever in my head.
That was the first time, because I had heard Chance mention the song. He came home raving about it the first time he heard Jerrod play it. And then that night, y'all were talking about your gig, and your guys were like, yeah, CJ there just got his first cut. I was like, oh, that's cool. What was it? Blue Bandana. I was like, wait a minute.
Dude, it's really funny how small of a world this town is.
Yeah, and it's gotten that way so much. I guess it makes sense. But as time goes on, it gets smaller and smaller, because you just, it's a natural thing. You meet more people the longer you're in a business. And I'm finding that, like, this guy I know over here is also friends with that guy that I've known for years over there. They're both friends with a guy that's from my hometown, and it's like, it's a
funny,
cool thing.
Dude. But yeah, it makes for cool story. And
so I have a question on your opinion.
Okay.
And be as honest as you can be or want to be. The whole writing appointment thing, like where you're scheduled to go in and write with 2 people or one person that you don't know and you've never met before. Like, what's your opinion on that? Do you think of that the same as if you're writing a song for yourself, or just what's your opinion on it?
Well, it was definitely weird because when I first signed, all I ever did was write at night with my friends and like have a beer and and write a song. It's kind of just it was a hang thing. So the whenever I signed over there, the idea of like getting up early and writing a song and being done by 2 or 3 was just weird. I was like, but there are certain times where I've gotten great songs out of it, and I do think it's a cool thing, but it definitely creates a easier way to burn yourself out. Yeah. Because when you just see your calendar and you have 3 months straight of every single day filled with different names, and sometimes some of the names you're looking forward to, and some of them you're like, oh, I'm not looking forward to that.
I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
You just said that. I'm already stressed out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it is stressful, and you're like, but especially whenever I first signed, it was like, I only had a handful of friends that I wrote with anyway, so they were really trying to find people that I worked well with, so they were just putting me with anyone and everyone they could get me with, and I made a lot of my best, bud connections through randomly being set up with other people that had either just been signed. Yeah, so it was cool to get out there and learn, and meet those people, and I still look forward to some of those, like where I don't know anybody at all, and just hop in a room and like, what's going on, man? And and sometimes it's like this, where it's like, dude, we have so many things in common, like this is awesome, we're like best friends now. And then sometimes they're like completely opposite.
And don't name any names, but are there people that you still get scheduled with and you see their name, you're like, shit, not them again?
Not really, because
can you tell the people?
I try to really tell my people, like, if it just didn't click at all. Right. There's some people that I would have never guessed I would work well with, and it just does. Like, like whatever. Certain people, it's like they're from New York and like sang pop music when they had a pop record deal when they were like 15, and now they're in Nashville writing country music, and they're awesome. But it's just. And some people you think it would really work and it just doesn't, so it's kind of weird, and which is why I'm usually pretty open to it. But sometimes I show up at 10:30 or 11, which is it's not too early. The thing that really annoys me is that it's like right before lunchtime, so it's really inconvenient, and a lot of people now like have this thing where they don't want to break for lunch because they're just trying to like write a song as fast
get in there and get out.
Get out there and get out. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to like spend the whole day hanging out. Like, if I'm writing with somebody, for the most part, unless I gotta like go file my taxes or something, like, unless I gotta go or to whoever's filling my taxes out for me and check off on them. But it's like, I try to make sure that I'm at least free till like 3 at the earliest, but 4. And
it's like today you had a writing appointment before this, and you had told me, look, man, I really don't know when I'm gonna be done. Yeah, I'm gonna do the job.
And the thing is I have certain buddies where I'm like, dude, hey, let's not dilly dally too long. Let's go ahead and get on something, because I've got stuff I need to do at 3 or 4. Yeah. But if people that like today where I've never written with either of these guys and they're both pretty established, you just never know if like they are gonna have something to do at 3, or they're like, because some of those guys, like, which I don't really write, I've written with them before, but I don't write with them on a regular basis by any means. But like Craig Wiseman will keep you there till 9 o'clock when you start.
But you don't want to be the guy that says, "Oh, sorry." Famous songwriter.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be that guy. Yeah. So you don't want you want to be, and it's just so funny because they all have a different process. Yeah. Some of those guys, they expect you to be there till 6 o'clock, and some of them expect you to get enough stuff out to be done by 2 or 3. Yeah. And a lot of the times these really great writers, if you bring them a great idea, it's not hard between doing what you want to do, and there's some people that are just really difficult, but a lot of the ones that have stuck around long enough are really cool, and they know how to put what they do into what you do as a younger writer and an artist. They're I feel like those are the guys that can really stick around and have stay power, are the ones that can keep changing with versatile. And they don't get jaded and like are mad because they're having to write with some young guy that doesn't write songs as good as them or
has a better beard than they do. CJ has a fantastic beard. I'm a little jealous of it.
You have a fantastic beard as well. I would say our beards are similar.
But I asked because I've had people for years now be like, why don't you try to get a pub deal and do the writing thing? And I have nothing against it whatsoever. I respect people that do that, but I don't want to be personally, I don't want to be scheduled to have to get up on a Tuesday and go write a song because I love writing when I want to write.
Yeah.
And if I had to get up every day and had to go do it whether I like to, and that's my stubbornness. That's why, I'm self-employed in most anything I do. I don't want it. If I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, damn it.
Yeah. And sometimes you definitely don't want to do it. And you can call and just whoever it is, or if you don't know them, call your person and just go, not feeling it today. Sorry, dude. But at the same time, they definitely expect you to do it. And one of my guys told me, one of the pluggers over there was like, well, the reason we want everybody, obviously we want the more songs the better, and the more songs you write, the higher percentage you have, having more good songs. And he goes, but their thought, which obviously this makes sense for them, but if you're not sitting there holding the pen when the inspiration comes, you're going to miss it. And I was like, that kind of makes sense, because you could be inspired and just be like, hell yeah, I'm fishing and I'm super inspired. It's like if you're not writing a song while you're inspired. So that was one of the things. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't write the same way I used to. It's definitely different. And I feel like it's harder for me to write the stuff that I'm like really inspired by. Like, like before I signed, I had like all these really cool out there songs that they made sense, but like even Blue Bandana, like I feel like I couldn't write that song now, even though I wrote that song 3 years ago. But I'm like, I don't know if
because
I could write.
Is that because it's become so much more of a formulaic thing?
Yeah,
now?
and you get all these preconceived notions that you need to write within this even smaller box, which you don't have to, but it's just like you get in there and some of these guys are like, all right, it's got to be about a girl, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, and you're like,
what's like, because at that point, it's almost like the goal is not creating art. The goal is getting something on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I feel like there needs to be a perfect blend of the two.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and you don't want to just aim for radio, but it would be nice to have a thought of radio in the back of your mind with everything you're written. And I don't mean radio as in, I mean good music, whether it would appeal to people. That would appeal to people.
Yeah.
Songs that have hooks, they don't all have to, but songs that have catchy parts, cool, good stuff, good music. Because, I mean, you can have the best session player in the world put out a record, and if there's nothing hooky about it, he just solos for 15 songs.
Yeah.
People might get bored unless they're like really, so it's cool to keep that like somewhat of a formula in your songs there, but also to still have the artistic, just values of like, I want to make something that's just not completely generic bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is what hard, and that's what, a lot of people just come in, write some generic bullshit, get out, hope that whoever's pitching for them or that they're buddies with an artist that'll cut that shit.
Right.
And, and they'll make some money. But the reason that everyone is so scared and wants to only aim for radio is because as a songwriter, that is the only way to make money anymore.
Yeah.
Album cuts don't pay anything. They literally don't pay anything.
Yeah.
I mean, even a song, even with Blue Bandana, I mean, it went to like 30-ish on the chart, and I still I made it like a little bit of like a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
But really, and now if it was a number one hit, you would make like $120,000, $150,000 on a three-way.
Yeah.
Probably $120,000. And after taxes it would be like 80 or something.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
which is like, that's still good.
That's a good money, but you think you wrote
back in the day
song.
That would have been.
Oh yeah,
I feel like that would have been so much more.
Song, you get $1 million. You automatically think number one song, $1 million. Not how it is. You write a number one song with two buddies, $120,000. With one other buddy, $200,000, and that's before And obviously, the thing that's crazy is that you make all of this money one time. Most people have one hit in their entire life. Yeah. They're lucky to have one hit.
And you got to pay the publishing company back.
Well, no, you don't. They don't take your radio money, which is cool. They don't recoup out of that, which I'm sure they're going to change that at some point because they only recoup from mechanical So you have your performance royalties that are the radio, and your mechanical royalties that are record sales.
Yeah, so they only recoup from.
So they only recoup from that, which is really great. Some people get screwed and sign crappy deals where they
get both,
where they recoup from both, and then you make none of that money.
Yeah.
But it's like crazy, you know, when you from a anti-tax paying standpoint, or at least the way they do taxes. It's like, okay, I make 20-ish grand a year for however long, 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Finally have a number one hit and make 120 grand and have to pay a massive amount of that money away to the government. And it's like, dude, I've literally made 20 grand a year for however long. Now that I finally have some money, I got to pay just a monster chunk of it to the government. It's like, can we not spread this out over some years? Yeah. And I think they used to do some stuff like that where the performance right organizations would let you spread it out over a certain amount of time to where you didn't have to pay you know crazy amount of taxes, because it really does suck. Let's say you had 2 hits in a year that were both 2A's and you made 400 grand. It's like, boom, you instantly get.
I don't even know what would the tax on that be, like probably a quarter of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Probably like 33%.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like, damn, you're instantly having to give away like
$100-something thousand,
$150 grand out of 400. It's like, okay, well, I just went from 400 to 250.
People that are like brick masons and ditch diggers right now are cussing us because we're complaining.
Yeah, but that's a what if, like we've never done that.
Right, yeah.
Those are the people that hit the jackpot and they're still like, if you have let's say you have a decent, like, I don't know what a good job is because I've never worked like that. But let's say you have a job.
That's another thing we have in common. Yeah. I've never had a real job.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. Let's say you're like an accountant and you make like 80 grand a year. Over the course of your life, if you make 80 grand a year, which it seems like a lot of money to me.
That seems great.
But I mean, I would assume that if you have like a terrible desk job, that you would hopefully be able to like make 60 to 80 grand a year. Let's say you're making 60 grand a year for a long time, and then you're a guy that makes 20 grand a year as a songwriter with the often possibility of being dropped because you haven't had a hit song and have to either find another deal or work at it like Chick-fil-A until you can get a deal.
I'm sure not saying
the
that
security,
it's easy.
The security is nothing. But let's say you make 60 grand a year for your whole life and then you have one number hit, but the whole rest of the time make 20 grand a year. I'd probably rather be the dude that just made 60 grand every year, because if you spread that one hit's money out over the course of your life, it's less. Like you get it in one chunk, but it's less than if you just had like a steady, good paying job.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people want to be artists, because being on the road is incredibly hard. But like, if you can be one of those guys like Luke Bryan or whoever that's like selling out these huge places, or even Chris Stapleton, him for example, I think he had 6 to 10 big, single songs. And, if he made $100,000, $200,000 a song, that maybe out of all of those adds up to $1 million. And those weren't at the same time, and he paid taxes on all that stuff. But now, selling out, 3,000 to 6,000 person venues that he's selling out, he's making a number one hit probably every show.
Yeah, that much money, yeah.
Can you imagine? So, I
do imagine in my dreams every night.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, that's why people want to be artists, and that's why people are always like, why does Chris want to even try to be an artist? Like, he's got all these hits, he's got the success as a writer. It's like, dude, the money is completely different, and it's a completely different satisfaction of singing your own songs.
Oh, yeah, it's a whole nother game.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing. It's like, yeah, it's awesome, and it's really, like, it's a really great feeling of, what is it, where you're justifying your talent where somebody else has, taken one of your songs and put it out.
Yeah, you feel yourself.
You're very gratifying going, I wrote a song and somebody else who does this for a living took a chance on something I created to, put their career on the line by releasing the song. But on the same side, doing it all yourself is way, I think, a lot more gratifying, and you have the potential to make more money as an artist, because on a low level it's hard to make money playing shows. But if you can get there, man, the money's pretty good. And obviously, not everybody's blows up like Chris Stapleton, but you can, there's people that make
But if you don't try, you're sure not going to.
Yeah, exactly. So, and and that's kind of the thing with everything. I mean, this whole music business game is a gamble.
It's crazy.
I the hat that I normally wear is that, it's kind of a Ronnie Van Zant looking hat. It's not the same, but Stetson makes it, but it's called the Gambler hat. And I remember it's the Gun Club Gambler hat. And I remember flipping it over and reading that, and I went, isn't that just what we do? It's like just our whole life is a freaking gamble.
It's like I've always compared it to, it's like you're walking down a dark, pitch black hallway, and there's doorknobs everywhere, but you don't know which one's going to get you out of the hallway. And so you just try one, and then you're like, oh, nope, that's not it. We'll try this one over here. And nope, that's not it either. And
in a maze.
Yeah, right. And just gambling that you can find your way out before you starve to death.
Gosh. But you know what? It's way better than being an accountant.
For us, yes, indeed.
Yes.
There's somebody out there that wakes up every morning and can't wait to go
and some
account
people,
things.
and some people love to have that steadiness in their,
I talk to my sister all the time, and she's a teacher, and
my
raising
sister's a
two
teacher
kids.
too.
It's weird. But she's got 2 kids. Husband lives like 2 miles from mom and dad back home, like living that dream life while I'm out here chasing this one. But she knows every month she's going to get that check for teaching, and it's going to be for this much. She knows every month. And so she can pay this bill, and I'll talk to her and be like, well, had to skip that bill last month, but next month I'm making a lot of money, so I'll be able to pay all the bills. But then I'm not sure about the month after that. She's like, I don't know how you live. Like,
Yeah.
Some days it's. I had Drew Smith that I had on the podcast last week. He told me not long after I moved to town, we were talking one day, and he said, in this business and what we do, there's very little distance between the high road and the bottom of the ditch. And because some days you're flying high, and then the next day it's like,
it is really crazy.
Why am I doing this?
I mean, especially like in those long rides in the van, you get a lot of time to think, and sometimes you're like, man, I've got this figured out. We're really doing great. I've got like all these stations playing my song, and then the next day it's like, none of these stations mean anything. I'm throwing my life away. I should have just become a teacher too.
I had one of those moments in the IHOP parking lot in New Braunfels, Texas, last month. We played a show at Billy's Ice House there in New Braunfels, then went to IHOP after the show, and then I was over at a friend's house hanging out, and the band took the van to IHOP, and then afterward they called me, and they were like, "Is there some kind of trick to starting the van that we don't know about?" I said, "No." And they said, "Well, we're at IHOP, and it's not starting. It's not doing anything. We tried to jump it off, and it's not doing anything." And so I said, "All right, I'm drunk at a party. I can't do anything about that right now. Can you get to the hotel?" They said, "Yeah, all right." So they went across the street back to the hotel. Next morning, I found my way over to where the van was. So they're all asleep in the hotel. I'm half drunk from the night before. I'm sitting there in the van. I'm like, okay, it's not starting. What am I going to do? And you just got to figure it out. Anyway, long story short, I figured out how to change the starter on a 1998 Ford van. But I'm sitting there. I didn't even know where the starter was. I had no idea. So I had to look up YouTube videos on how to do it. Had to get an Uber to the auto parts store and get a new starter and come back. And I'm sitting there underneath the van. It's like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm banging my knuckles on starters in the fuel tank and just cussing. I don't know whether to cry or call mom or just quit and stay in Texas. But, the next night we were playing a show and it was all worth it again. So it's a
Dude,
crazy twisted thing.
I have been there. I've blown starters. I thought this was the best deal ever. I had bought a cheap old airport shuttle van way back when I was still in Belmont, and bought this cheap old shuttle van. I was like, dude, this would be the best thing to tour in.
It's a deal. I got a deal.
Yeah, I got a deal. And we started driving around, dude. We had so many things. We broke down in every single state in the Southeast. I mean, I don't know if we ever made it to a show once, or at least on the schedule we were supposed to.
Yeah.
But we had a a hole in our muffler that was shooting flames, melted our brake line or something, and was like spewing brake fluid or something, and we were losing I mean, it was just falling apart. And I remember they were like, "Man, you had a hole in your muffler. I'm surprised it didn't set your van on fire." I was like, "Gee."
Sounds like a vehicle I would have.
I'm selling this thing, dude. But I ended up getting a mid 2000s like passenger van.
Is that what y'all are touring now?
Yeah, that's what we're in now. Got a trailer in that, and I just had to put like all kinds of. I didn't realize how much maintenance trailers really need.
Yeah, I should probably do some more maintenance.
Dude, well, there's like one place. Well, mine was falling apart. I had the fender. Well, I had a blowout, and you know, my tire. Mine's a dual axle.
Okay.
And it's got it had the tires stick out outside of the trailer, and it's got fenders over them. Well, then
mine used to have fenders.
Well,
no
okay.
More.
Well, mine had a blowout, and it just completely knocked the fender.
Oh yeah,
knocked the fender off. Which reminds me, the guy at the trailer shop had ordered me a fender, and I need to go have him put it on.
I've replaced mine, I think twice, and they just fall off. I'm not even going to do it again. Just screw it.
Do they just fall off, or is it when you have a blowout?
No, they just rattle. They rattle, and then the bolts fall out, and then they get bent for some reason. I don't know.
Drunk people leaning up on them or something.
I guess. I don't. Yeah, who knows?
I don't know, but mine. I had one that was barely hanging on that they reinforced, and then another that I needed to take my trailer. But the place, the best guy out is a Campbell Trailer Repairs out in like Smyrna.
Yeah.
And the dude does a great job. But I had him like over the weekend fix some stuff, or like within like a rush order fix some stuff, because like my trailer was like messed up. I literally had to have like a million things replaced on my trailer. And
I've had a right blinker out for probably 2 years now. I just tell the guys, just be careful when we're driving. Just no, it's not worth it. Not.
Yeah.
So what's coming up next? Now that we've bitched about our vans and our trailers and not making enough money. Man. Now that we've bitched, we really do love this, people.
Oh, dude. What else would we do?
Yeah.
But I'm cutting some new stuff. We got the next like month, 2 months, we got shows about every weekend, whether it's an opener or a festival. I actually have I started a songwriter festival in Baton Rouge. That's this coming up weekend. So they're doing that this weekend. And then the next couple weekends after that, it's like a random openers or clubs. And, there's a couple clubs where we don't headline, but, you got to play a little bit more covers at those kind of things. So I try to not do that when I don't have to.
Yeah, it's one of those balance things, you know. Like exactly. I don't mind playing covers. There's several covers that I love playing.
Oh yeah, me too.
But well, after you do the cover gigs for a while, it's like okay.
Well, and some of those times, you get there and when you play a handful of covers, people don't realize that you even have original music.
Yeah.
And then and if it's like one of those real country bar kind of things, they're like Luke Bryan and all this stuff. I'm like, I was like, nothing against Luke Bryan, but I don't play Luke Bryan.
I played a bar in Tupelo, Mississippi, a few months back. It was the end of last year, and it was a cool bar, really cool place. And they even said, hey, we play mostly originals here. Awesome, very cool. So we played like a 3 hours, like two or three sets, something like that, that whole deal. And we played mostly originals, and then like I don't know, like a third covers or a quarter of covers, something like that, just to keep the people dancing,
Yeah.
And the manager, like didn't hire us back. He said, I don't know, y'all are playing all covers and just doing some wedding band thing. I don't know if he didn't realize that over half those songs were mine or what. But
that's a good compliment.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to have you back playing a bunch of wedding band stuff. It's like, what are you talking about, dude?
I don't even know what that means. But so sorry, Tupelo. Maybe I'll find another place to play there.
Dude, it's wild. And the stuff you have to deal with clubs. I mean, there's some clubs that are just great and have great management and great owners, but
those are the few. Like,
yeah, exactly.
In my
there's
experience,
so many.
You run across the ones that are actually run correctly, and you're like, oh, this is great. This is how it's supposed to be.
But there's so few of them.
Yeah.
There's so many that are just...
So many people think,
difficult.
And I've been, like, when I started playing out in college, it's when I first started experiencing, so many people with money think, oh, I have money, I'll open a bar, and then I'll be able to hang out and drink and make money and have bands come in and play, and I'll just show up and get drunk. Like, no, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's not how it works at all. It's a business like anything else. And if you're gonna have music, you need to do it right. And a lot of people don't know how to do it right, and they don't want to pay the people that come play. And it's like, dude, we're not local, so we are traveling however many hours to get here for minimal pay, and you go, well, man, $1,000. It's like, dude.
Yeah, you want
to pay $500. It's like, dude, we just drove from Nashville to Denver to open for these guys for $500.
Yeah.
You know how that it costs more than that in gas just to get out here, and I still have to pay a band. They're like, it's kind of a lot of money for whatever you did. And it's like, dude,
people.
You guys literally sold like 20 drinks in the course of 10 seconds and made that money. Like, calm down, and you know, it's funny how bar people that own bars or
like we usually pay like $300, maybe $400. Well, you pay $300, you're going to get a $300 band.
Yeah, and you're going to get local guys that each drove their individual cars here from less than 5 miles away.
Yeah,
set up, and they're each going to take $100 home. Me, I need to pay each one of these guys $150 to $200.
Yeah,
and that's before the gas that it took to drive 6 hours to get here in the hotel room that we're going to have to stay at tonight because we don't live here. And like it doesn't even cross their minds.
It's like, yeah. Anyway,
you're out on the road.
We've had a good therapy session.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so where can they check out any links, any website? What's the website?
Well, my website is just cjsolar.com, and I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much all under CJ Solar. I'm trying Snapchat out right now.
I go in and out.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Especially since Instagram started the stories too.
I'm so much better at it. I don't do stories on Instagram, but I'm way better at Instagram than anything else.
Well, I've tried to do some research, and like I'll do some Snapchat for a little while, and then I'll do the Instagram story for a little while, and I get like 4 times the views on Instagram. So like.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot of followers. If you have a lot of followers there already, it's harder I feel like it's harder to find followers on Snapchat. Like people have to like search out for you and know your screen name.
Right.
Like, where some people might just see a cool picture you posted on Instagram and the little shared thing and go, oh, that guy looks cool, I'm going to follow him. You know, the Snapchat, that doesn't happen. You don't just have some random person go, that guy looks cool, I'm going to follow him.
Yeah, I'm just going to randomly put in this name and see who it is. Yeah.
So it's harder. I should start doing the story stuff on Instagram now.
It's like, how do you keep up with it? You know?
Dude, there's so many. I usually post the same stuff to all three.
Almost 6-year-old niece to start. Pretty soon she's gonna have to tell me what the cool stuff is.
Well, I remember when my little brothers were like still in high school and early college, and they were like telling me which ones were cool, and I'm like, no, dude, Facebook's where it's at. And I remember when I started, it was around the time that I started high school that like everyone was getting Facebook, and I was like, no, dude, MySpace is still where it's at. I'm always a late adapter, but
yeah. Well, this has been cool, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll get out of here. Y'all check him out, CJ Solar. And thanks to CJ for coming by the office and hanging out and playing some guitar with me, which is what you're hearing in the background right now. Maybe you learned a thing or two about CJ. Maybe you learned a thing or two about me, or about you, or about the world. Hopefully it at least helped get you through the car ride or a day at the office or whichever task we've been background for. Info and links on CJ and the things we talked about today will be on the show notes page at don'tstifleme.com/007. And thanks again so much for listening, friends, my family, my people. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, check out the other episodes, leave a review, share with your friends. This is a real grassroots word of mouth operation we've got here. And so if you have any feedback also, please, or any questions, you can definitely send those to me. And that email address is jacob@don'tstifleme.com. Or you can send any messages or anything to any of the social medias. You can check out the podcast social medias are at DSM Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. My social medias, which I run those as well, are all at Jacob Stiefel. That's JACOBSTIEFEL. And that's Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. All my merchandise and tour dates and everything can be found at jacobstiefel.com. And sadly, our time here in episode 7 has come to an end. But have no fear, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back next week for episode number 8. I really hope you will too. I let CJ and I play us out here. Y'all are awesome. I love you all. Go have a great rest of your day. CJ Solar.